Hello and welcome to our talk on makeup artistry and skincare. My name is Christiana Amankrah. I'm a freelance editorial, fashion and advertising makeup artist. I've worked on projects such as Netflix, Britain's Got Talent, Harper's Bazaar, GQ China, Vogue Italia and British Vogue, to name but a few. But let's just jump straight into it. Ladies, introduce yourselves, please. We'll start with you, Eryca.
Hello, I'm Eryca
Hello.
Freemantle. Can you hear me? Eryca Freemantle here, and I'm a global beauty strategist. I started my career as a makeup artist nearly 40 years ago. My career started at around the same time as Pat McGrath and Naomi Campbell, so I've been around a very long time. However, I don't pursue makeup artistry anymore. I'm more a person behind the scenes. That's me.
Fantastic. And Lina?
Hi, my name is Lina. I'm based in Los Angeles. I've been in the beauty industry now for over 13 years. I started my career working for MAC Cosmetics. I grew with the brand and always had a love and desire to do freelance work. So about 6 years ago, I took the leap of faith and became a freelance makeup artist. I moved to Los Angeles 3 years ago from Las Vegas. And I totally just dove into the whole industry, and I'm here today working with e-commerce, some celebrities, doing things on social media, and just growing every single day.
Fantastic. And Candice?
Hi, I'm Candace Delgado. I'm an international makeup artist. I started my makeup journey about 12 years ago, a little bit more. I've loved makeup ever since I was 14 years old. For me, it was a form of self-expression, and it got me through my whole entire childhood, expressing myself that way. And makeup was a dream to me. Freelancing 14 years ago, what meant working at Estee Lauder or MAC Cosmetics. And it's just so amazing where makeup has gone. And about 5 years ago, I made the decision to be a freelance makeup artist. And I kind of just hit the ground running. I do everything from e-commerce to weddings, to international weddings and international makeup. And I feel like my career is just beginning, even though I've been here for almost over 12 years. So I'm really excited, and I absolutely love makeup. It's my passion.
Oh, fantastic. And we'll come to you, Anna.
Hi, well, I guess I'm representing skincare. I'm Anna. I'm the co-founder of Upcircle Beauty, which I launched 5 years ago. We are most well known for pioneering the byproduct beauty trend or the circular skincare trend. So essentially our ethos is around taking byproducts from other industries and then reimagining them as high-performing skincare ingredients. We started out with coffee, for example, which we collect from hundreds of cafes and restaurants all over the city that I'm from, which is London, and then turning them into things like body and face scrubs and extracting the oil into serums and eye creams as well. But we've since expanded our repurposed ingredient portfolio to number 10 from different industries, including powdered fruit stones or fruit waters that are extracted from the juicing industry, all sorts of different things that we then mix into our skincare formulations, which we sell all over the world. In 2020, in the US alone, we launched into more than 2,000 retail doors. So it's super busy and really exciting, but I guess we're known as the brand doing things a little bit differently and bringing a more sustainable circular economy vibe to the skincare industry, which has a pretty bad reputation when it comes to sustainability.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And Adeola?
Hi everyone, my name is Adeola Gboyega. So I'm a professional makeup artist. I've been in the industry for over 10 years now. I've worked for major brands such as Clarins, Lancome, Bobbi Brown. I was a pro artist for them for 6 years, based in the UK, and I'm currently the National Education Artistry Manager for Pat McGrath Labs, which is super exciting. So I'm really well known for my skin first approach to makeup, because when I first started out, I didn't really see many people that were talking about skincare as it pertains to makeup. And I think it's really important to have that skin first approach. So everyone kind of talks about me and my Addy glow, because I'm all about the glow. So yeah, I really feel like my career is just kind of starting out at the moment as well, with all the things that I'm doing, which is really exciting. So I'm excited to be here today.
Oh, well, thank you for being with us, and thank you all for introducing yourselves so beautifully. I'm with you, Adeola. I just think that great makeup starts with great skincare. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later. But just to dive in, how did you all get into makeup artistry, and how did you decide to either create your brands or your platforms? Like, talk us through that a little bit. So I'll come to you, Lina.
Okay, so basically I have always slightly been into social media. I never was like a very I was always more private, but I saw how things were changing and how you should like showcase your work. I was surrounded by so many amazing makeup artists that would showcase their work and encourage me to do the same. So I was very fortunate in that aspect. So I started posting my work on social media and just tagging everything and, you know, being very social on there, talking to girls, getting to know girls, like answering questions, and just really putting my passion on to that platform. And by doing that, I've gained so much. I've gained so many like amazing friends, not only through social media that are amazing artists as well, but I've gained and I've got so many amazing jobs as well, which has been like so touching. Like, they see your work online and they want to book you from the Middle East or from Italy, and it's like, wow, like there's amazing makeup artists all around the world, and you're choosing me because you like what you see. So doing that and taking the time to build my social media and to really take the time to just put yourself out there, it really does pay off.
Fantastic. And also building a community, it sounds like, as well.
Yes,
it's quite a humbling experience.
Yes, which is very important, I think, in the beauty industry, because, you know, I feel like a lot of people have that view, or they think like it's kind of catty or, you know, cutthroat, oversaturated, all of those things. But I think it's important. It's the way you yourself look at things, and you create your own world. So when you are bringing that good energy and bringing love and light into anything you do into your community, you're going to receive that back.
Absolutely. Because you get what you give, right? So It makes sense. And I think also, as well, as I think within our industry, we all have the opportunity to be creativepreneurs. So we can dictate what it is that perhaps we didn't like, that we can implement in our own businesses as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Candace, we'll come to you and I'll ask you the same question. How did you start out?
Yeah, so when I was 18 years old, makeup was a dream to me, and I was actually studying to become a kindergarten teacher. I had my own classroom full of 30 children, an assistant, and a waiting list for my classroom as well. And I was like, I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. This is not what I want to do. And everybody keeps telling me makeup is not a career, it's a dream. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to take that leap of faith, because to me, it's not just a dream. It's something that I want to do. So I got a job at MAC Cosmetics in the most ghetto mall in Las Vegas, our artist. And I literally felt, I was like, I'm in the slums over here, but I believed in what I was doing. And in less than 6 months, I got a promotion to one of the biggest malls in Las Vegas, and the most branded location. It's one of the top 10 doors internationally. And I really felt like you can't pay for the experience that you get at a makeup counter, because you're seeing all different races, texture. And I really believed in the credo of MAC, all ages, all races, all sexes. And it made me the artist that I am today. I worked for the brand for 8 years. I became a manager the last 4 years and ran some of the top doors in Las Vegas. And it really shaped me into the artist I am today. I just believe that, you know, that type of experience comes hands-on, and it's kind of the best way to learn. But the one thing that I love most about makeup is that talent can come from anywhere. I've done so much hiring for beauty companies and freelancing agencies. I've been honored to do their hiring for them. And I've seen talent from everywhere. Talent can come out of a school. It can come out of a cosmetology school. And it can be self-taught and learned. We have so many great, amazing masterclasses available to us now, like Priscilla, who I love and I admire. And it's just so incredible that if you have a passion for it, all you do is have to reach out and start learning. And that's kind of what I did throughout my whole career.
That's fantastic. And I completely agree with you about counter work. I think that, initially when we have these big dreams of being a makeup artist and then suddenly you're like, oh, I have to start at the counter. But actually you get to experience every face, and it challenges you to be able to do what you need to do in time, because the customer doesn't want to waste time. They just want to come there, look great, and go and do what they're doing.
And so it teaches you how to use time too. It really teaches you about time management, so that when you backstage for fashion week or a fashion show and you only have 10 minutes to do a graphic eyeliner, you kind of are a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, because you work well under pressure, right? It's like they say that working backstage, I find that it's like everything's really calm, and then it's like a 10-car pileup all of a sudden, but then you like the adrenaline.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And Eryca, I'll come to you. How did you start out? Well, you said you started as a makeup artist. How did you make that transition from makeup artistry to beauty strategist?
I would like to just share. I want you all to just close your eyes and just imagine the world with no mobile phones, no social media, no technology. That's the era that I come from. You can open your eyes now. So listening to you all, how you started your careers, it's absolutely phenomenal to hear how you built communities. But I started off as a makeup artist. I had to. I was involved in a major car accident, and I lost all of my hair. So this isn't a fashion statement. I had 250 scars to my face and a near amputation to my left leg.
Wow.
The world is complaining now about the lack of availability for makeup for Black women. I don't know if you can even imagine what it was like nearly 40 years ago. There was nothing.
Oh, gosh.
And what I did is it's a very long story. I won't go into it. So I approached makeup from a completely different aspect from most people. It's more from a survival proposition. My face was scarred. I lost my hair. In fact, I lost all of my confidence. And over a period of time, I realized there was nothing to even cover my scars on my face. My face was just my face. There was nothing I could do about it. I hated it. But I remember when I was at school, I remember in one of I can't remember if it was geography or history, but one of those lessons, they spoke about the Egyptians, and they spoke about the earth, mixing it with water, and you created clay. And that was my freedom and my expression of makeup. I got some earth from the garden, I mixed it with some water, I put it on my face, and I discovered foundation. Well, it wasn't foundation, it was really clay, but it was the closest thing I could get. But let me tell you something about that clay. That clay, little did I know, had healing properties, and it helped with the healing of the scars on my face, but it also gave me the confidence and the ability to leave my house after 2 years. So that's how I started my career as a makeup artist, simply because I was involved in a car accident and there was nothing available for me. And then, rolling on a few years, I was the only Black makeup artist at the time when there were lots of Black people coming up in the industry of music, ironically. So my career started off very early with a lot of renowned artists now, but in those days, we didn't know where we were going or what we were doing. We were just having fun, and this one would call that one on the house phone because there was no mobile phone, and we'd meet this person here and we'd go there. Rolling forward, after about 15 years of doing makeup artistry, as you can tell, I can really talk. Makeup artists are not booked to talk. We are booked to do the job and support. Well, I got into a lot of trouble because I spoke a lot, and I speak a lot, and I still speak a lot. And it's my voice that is now I'm booked for, because I'm now an educator. I'm an advocate for women of color, diversity and inclusion. I believe in equality in makeup. So my whole approach is completely different. And I now work with multinational brands to help create makeup lines for women of color, and more so the psychology of makeup as a collective, as not just women, men as well in the industry. So that's my career, just told 40 years told in, a couple of minutes. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world.
But it's amazing how out of something so tragic that this entire career, this whole world was opened up to you. So, it's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And I'll come to you, Adeola.
Yeah, thank you. And always hearing, Eryca speak is just incredible because, her story is very similar to mine in how I got into makeup. It was born out of a need to want to, be seen and be heard and to feel represented because, even as a makeup artist, I've been in the industry for over 10 years. When I think back to when I first started, I'd never met a professional makeup artist, let alone somebody that was Black, And I think that's why it's so important that we have these conversations and talk about representation, because when people are able to see, just the wide range of diversity, even on this panel, that's an opportunity for somebody that's maybe thinking about coming into the career, thinking that actually I can do it because I see the likes of Eryca, Adeola, Kandice, like all of us, I struggled so much with my self-worth. I struggled so much with my appearance and how I looked and how I felt. And there was just something about makeup and the transformative aspect that really spoke to me. And I remember going to a One Brown counter, and the thing that I loved was that they were talking back then about having foundations for different skin tones at a time when no other brands were doing it. And that was my dream, to be able to, share and educate other people to be able to become their own makeup experts, the same way that I felt a connection with makeup and how it made me feel, because it literally was a defining moment where I felt like, okay, well, I'm actually starting to feel good about myself through learning to become a beauty expert. And I wanted to share that with other people. And there'd been so many instances where I'd worked with brands before, and a customer would come to me and say, oh, what foundation are you wearing? And I remember one brand I worked with didn't even have my own foundation shade, and it was just so embarrassing and painful for a customer to come to me and say, oh, what foundation are you wearing? I couldn't even tell them it was the brand that I was working for. And so I vowed for myself never ever to work for a brand that didn't cater to me and didn't represent me. And I've just been on a mission ever since to really kind of be the change that I want to see in all aspects. So, there wasn't, a lot of representation of, Black women in skincare, for example, or even in makeup. And so it was really important for me to be able to kind of showcase that actually you can look after your skin, you can find skincare products that work for you in the right way, but also be knowledgeable and be an expert in that. And I've just been very honored, like even this year, like some great things have happened for me.
I saw.
I was honored.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was honored by, Eryca, her incredible platform, E.A.T.O.W, which is all about embracing all tones of women of color, which is fantastic, with the Icon Award. And then, yesterday I announced my first ever brand ambassadorship with a skincare brand, which is Kate Somerville, which is, really, really big to be, Black women, to be able to talk about skincare and also represent about skincare as well, because it was never really heard of, and that was the first of its kind. So all of these small wins I think are really important, but I always think about, I'm kind of paving the way for other, young people that think that, oh, I look different, there's no one else that's representing me. I can be that, example of actually you can do it, and then it can be done, and, no dream is too big or too small.
Absolutely not. And I completely hear everything that you say. There's nothing worse when you're a makeup artist, you're working for a brand, and then all of a sudden they don't even have the colors that you want to be able to help other people with. Then what's the benefit of our presence? So no, I completely hear you. Anna, please share yours briefly, if that's okay, and then we'll move on.
I'm not quite sure how I can follow all of that. What I will say is absolutely incredible for me from a personal perspective to hear from you guys, because I think that what my background actually represents is someone who didn't have the guts to do what you have done. As a teenager, my dream job was to be a makeup artist. And I will never forget when I was 15, I'd worked in hairdressers since I was 14. Alongside doing my GCSEs and going to school, and I was paid £20 a day. So I started out in hair and I loved it. And then when I was 15, 16, I went to school with loads of, leaflets for makeup artistry schools. And my school was quite traditional, and you could tell it was the first time that someone had ever done that. And they did not know what to do. And I just got scared. I was like, okay, maybe this isn't a good move. And my brother had gone down a very traditional route. And that in the end was what I ended up doing. So I went to university and I did a course, art history, which of course leads to no jobs, but it was one of my other interests. And then, I was 21, still thinking, well, okay, great. I did what you told me to do, and I still don't know what to do for a career. Went down again, a kind of traditional career path. I had a company car and I wore a suit and heels every day, and I had a big paycheck, but I would come home at the end of the day thinking, is this my life? Is this what I'm really going to do? And it took me less than a year to quit when I had my idea to start Upcircle. So I guess that was kind of my background, but it took me longer, you know, to make that change. And I feel extremely fortunate now that I am in an industry that is so closely aligned with what I wanted to do as a teenager. If you could have shown my 15-year-old self that my 27-year-old self is where I am, I'd be very, very happy. But I guess, you know, from our specific brand perspective, one of the other things that I felt very passionately about as a young person, I was 22 when I launched my business, was that I used to get so frustrated looking at other brands in the world of sustainability and seeing sustainability as some sort of elite privilege, because it always comes along with a premium price tag. And for that reason alone, as a student or a young person, it made sustainable choices inaccessible to me, and therefore not something that I was able to enjoy, even though I wanted to, in alignment with my ethics and my beliefs and wanting to minimize my impact on the world. So from day one, I always said, well, if I'm producing products, I want to make sure that they are at a price point that is accessible to all. I want to tick all of the boxes that people are looking for increasingly these days, you know, vegan, cruelty-free, handmade, locally sourced, sustainable, 100% recyclable packaging that's 99% plastic free. All of these tick boxes, organic, palm oil free, all of this, but then not just throw an excessively overpriced stamp on it, because that was one thing that I found really, really frustrating as a consumer. So, you know, I took this gap in the market. I came up with a completely innovative idea. Again, as a female, 22, lots of mentors and investors told me that tackling issues of waste in the beauty industry was not something that was going to work, that the industry was too shallow and too fickle, and I would have no success with it. But then 5 years on, you know, we sell hundreds of thousands of units a year globally. So I'm glad I did finally get the guts and went for it, because I guess I proved them wrong in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, when everyone else might see it as craziness or bravado, but really you're just petrified, but you've just got this singular thing that you know you must do. So it's only when you look back that you're like, wow, I was actually kind of brave doing that. So it's brilliant. Okay, so let me ask you, how, from social media to personal presence, how important do you all think for makeup artists or even just business professionals to be able to have a strong brand? I'll come to you, Candace, first.
So first of all, I just have to say, you guys are so inspiring, all of you. It almost brings me to tears that I'm a part of such an amazing group of women here. So you guys are incredible. So I love Alex Box. She's one of the top artists that I admire. And it's because she kind of hits that not everybody's great at social media. Okay, she's been going on that. And that's something that I kind of relate to, because for me, I've kind of always loved being in the background. And it's not that I don't think that I'm beautiful or this or that. And trust me, I've had my own struggles with insecurity. But I kind of love that you can be in the background with makeup. I love that with makeup, you can come from anywhere, the hardest of circumstances or the best of circumstances. What people are judging you on is your makeup, what you produce, what you put out there. But I would say that social media, I've realized, is so extremely important. And it's a tool that we should all utilize, because it's one of the biggest networking tools that's absolutely free. So I think that really refining your skill and just getting yourself to take pictures, and like Lina said, put yourself out there. It's extremely important, because sometimes you'll realize that you're the biggest thing holding yourself back. Because once I get to a caption, I'm out. I'm not doing this caption. I absolutely can't. But I really wanted to work on that part of myself for the past 2 years, because I realized that you're kind of closing yourself from opportunities. The less that you put yourself out there, and the more critical you are of your own work, people don't see what you see. They see the greatness in your work and the quality in your work. And so I think that social media is an extremely important tool. And it also connects us with amazing opportunities like this and people like you guys. So I think that it's absolutely extremely important, and it's a lot easier than we make it.
Fantastic, thank you. No, I completely agree with everything. I think I read somewhere last week that your refusal to be on camera is what's holding you back in your business. And I think especially now during the pandemic as well, people want to be able to see us and learn from us and so forth, but we'll touch more on that in a little bit. But I'll come to you, Lina, seeing as Candace just mentioned you in regards to just putting yourself out there. Tell me about social media and also personal presence, because I think that's also really important. And oftentimes people forget that when people meet you, they must, know about what it is that you want to convey. So tell us more.
I think it's social media is great, but honestly, what has gotten me so far is my authenticity, like being true to myself and respecting every single person in real life, like making connections with them organically and allowing my work to speak for itself. I feel like, like I said, social media is great. It gives you great opportunity, but I feel like it's the most important thing is who you are in real life. Who are you at your jobs? Who are you around the person that can do nothing for you? That is what's going to set you apart from everyone else, is how you treat people, how you carry yourself, and how you want to just make the world a better place. So I feel like that can translate into just growing as an artist, growing as a human, like which we all do. It's like a never-ending, evolving, growing world, right? We want to keep getting better. We want to keep being better people. So I feel like you can do that in your day-to-day. You will attract and get everything that you deserve out of life. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Just be a decent person. It goes a long way.
It goes a long way, more than you know.
Yeah, and it's a very small industry as well, so people remember everything. So you really can't create any issues with someone, because you'll end up coming back around. You'll meet them 10 years later, and then you would have wished that you would have been a lot nicer.
Exactly.
But yeah, Adeola, what say you?
Social media is such a complex thing, but to everybody's points, it's it has its blessings, it has its downsides, its good sides. I think for me, it's really been a tool for me to talk about so many different sides of myself other than just my makeup career. When I think back to the lockdown that happened and with everything that happened last year, I wasn't in a great space, but when I was able to talk authentically about like my mental health, my struggles with depression, the fact that I was able to kind of talk about those things in a more wider spectrum, I think that's when my following grew so much, because people were able to resonate with me so much more. And I used to be that person that literally hid behind my work. It was more so about showing pictures of my images, my work, because I thought that that's what people wanted to see. But actually, people just want to know that you're human, that you make mistakes, that, what's your journey been, the highs, the lows. And that was really, really cool to see and really good to kind of just share and showcase. And so I feel like my space now is kind of like a mood board into my life. It's, it's my wishes, it's my dreams, it's basically taking my community on a journey with me, which I think is really cool. And one thing I would say about, social media is having a presence is really important, but it's also about what are you offering to the people that are following you, that are supporting you. So, they come to you for expertise and advice. They come to you for, conversation, and you're there to kind of support them. But it's also very important that you look after yourself and your mental at the same time, because it can be this sort of like never ending kind of like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And it can be a bit of a rush, as well as trying to juggle, your lifestyle and your livelihood and everything. So yeah, it's important. It's been the opportunity for me to have some great, things happen to me, especially within the last year. But the key thing is, like Lina was saying, it's the authenticity of yourself that you put through and who you are as a person and how you convey yourself through social media. So it's really important.
Definitely showing that three-dimensional side of yourself, because I think we're moving into that space now with everything over the past year, especially where authenticity is it Like if you're not able to be authentic, what's the point? People can see through it now. They've been indoors for about a year, it feels like. So just be yourself and share your struggles. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adeola. Eryca, I'll come to you next.
You know, again, I just sat here and I listened, and I have to say that I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the era that you guys have come up in, because I'm the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You look at my Eryca Freemantle Instagram page, I don't do anything about myself. I celebrate other people that are in my life. I repost, I congratulate them. That's all I do. Then on my E.A.T.O.W Global page, which I'd like everyone to start following, by the way, start following at E.A.T.O.W Global. Again, it's not about me. It's about celebrating other people in the space. The reason why I say I'm jealous is because I really wish, I'm a very shy person, but I know my stuff. And my stuff, my years of experience that no one can take away from me. Your reputation follows you wherever you go. So as you guys were talking and we were saying, yeah, the industry is very small, one thing that we mustn't forget is the people that we're growing up with now, or the people that you're growing up with now, some of those will be the decision makers in time to come, whoever, whatever, wherever. And that's what I found that's enabled me to have such a long career in the background. People call on me for as and when they need me, which is all around diversity and inclusion. And you can imagine how busy I have been in the last year, especially with so many things that have happened and so many brands that have had to check themselves in so many different ways. So for me, it's more about reputation. I don't need to put myself out there. I am so shy, it's unbelievable. I'll do things like this all day long, don't get me wrong, because I need to eat. However, it is not what
It doesn't come naturally.
I'm sorry, it's not really who I am. I celebrate others. My key values are education, celebration, unity, conversation, compassion, allies, having allies, and celebrate difference and eradicate racism. And if it means that I can do that in the background, then so be it. Let me stay where I am and do what I do.
There's a role for everyone in every place, sort of thing. No, yes. I understand that. I appreciate that. And Anna, we'll come to you.
Oh, social media, definitely something that I hate to love and I love to hate. I think from the brand perspective, you would be foolish to underestimate the importance and value in social media. I can think of countless examples of business meetings that I've been in with big retailers, huge opportunities, and I've just sat down. I'm maybe 2 or 3 sentences into my brand pitch, and they're scrolling through my Instagram page to see how many followers I've got. It's a big deal, and it's something that you've got to get right, whatever that means. And I'm not sure what that means, but to be honest, for me, I know that there's lots of things that I see other brands do that I don't like. So I'm very careful to make sure that my brand doesn't repeat what I perceive to be those mistakes. And people are shocked when they find out that actually I manage every bit of content that goes out on our Instagram. I haven't handed that over yet. And I will continue to cling on to it because it's so important. And I think, it's a very instant communication channel. One of the mistakes that I see brands making a lot is that they view it as a one-way communication channel. They think, okay, people are following us, let me put content out for them to receive. And I think that is short-sighted. I personally view our socials as a way to communicate with the people that have chosen to either buy my products or at least be curious by my brand story. So when it comes to what products do you want to see next? What do you think we could do better? What do you want to see more from us, less from us? Let's ask these questions. Let's engage in conversation. And you can get so much valuable information that can help your business grow and make sure that you're focusing on the things that your audience actually want to see you focusing on. And you're communicating on topics that they want to hear your opinion on. So that's one thing, this is not just a one-way platform for you to just throw content out, but actually let's see it more as a two-way channel.
Absolutely.
A second mistake, I guess, from a kind of sustainable, ethical brand perspective is that obviously one of my key objectives is to make sustainability mainstream. I think that's one of the key important things if we are going to have a truly sustainable future, is that it has to become the norm. And to do that, you have to show that natural, ethical products are not just as good, but actually better than our non-natural, less ethical competitors. And we're obviously talking about social media and the beauty industry and makeup, and that's all incredibly visual. So I see these eco brands with aesthetics and branding that's so eco, if that makes sense, you know, lots of green, lots of brown, and that's a very specific audience. So I think you've got to get those basics right with regards to branding, whether that's of products or of a person. I guess the same things are not to be overlooked. So that's something that we take a lot of care over. And finally, of course, it's representation. It's the style of imagery that you're putting out there. I saw so many UK British brands posting pictures of Australian models lying on the beach with I don't know, a bit of balm on their hand. And I'm thinking, your audience is going to be, you know, 90% UK based. We don't have beaches like that. We're not tanned like that. This is not real life. So I have real customers of all ages, all sizes. I show pores, I show spots, I show breakouts, I show, you know, beauty in its many varied forms. Because I think, you know, the beauty industry is sometimes at risk of making people feel actually more insecure and doing the opposite of what we're kind of setting out to do. So I think, you know, no Photoshop. Let's be authentic here. Let's show texture. Let's show different people and the real people that are using my products. The models, for example, on my website, well, one is my brother's wife, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, and the other is my oldest school friend. And I've never needed to make that any different, because they're the real people I know in my real life. So that's
so free labor.
Yeah. I guess technically, but I hope that's not the point. That's definitely not the point.
No, not at all. No, I completely hear you. We just want to see ourselves represented in the brand that we like, because I think essentially for me, I always say to people that we make these brands and these products better, not the other way around. And I think for a long time, there's been that narrative where it's like, you know, if you have this, it will completely miraculously change your life, which almost takes away from who you are, which is a shame. But now I think we're moving, like I said before, moving to that more authentic space where it's just like, actually, what's this really doing? What do I want? And how can I express myself with it? What's important to me? So moving on. So we're all doing these wonderful creative careers. You know, we started a wonderful sustainable skincare brand. We're makeup artists, beauty strategists. What opposition did you have when you started from family or friends, and who was your biggest support? And I will go to Adeola first.
I was quite lucky in that my mum is a teacher. And I think, you know, traditionally, you know, I'm Nigerian, African parents have a very sort of set sort of standard of what you should be doing. I was quite lucky that my mum, I think because she saw what it did to children when, you know, their parents made them go into careers that they didn't really love, or they weren't really sort of inspired by, how detrimental that can be. And so she never ever said to me that I had to be something from her point of view. She just always encouraged me to just do the best in whatever it is that I did. And I had loads of different things that I wanted to do. I think at one point I wanted to be a pediatrician, and then I had work experience at hospital and realized I was way too emotional for that, and I'd be crying at every single child that I was having to, like, you know, look after and things like that. I just had no sort of ability to kind of like step away and be not emotional. I wanted to be a TV presenter at one point. But one thing I always felt like I loved, and it was just always about making people feel good and helping people to feel better about themselves. And that was like a trend that I could see. And so I'm very lucky in that I'm doing a job now that allows me to do that, but also empowers me at the same time. And, you know, there's so many people that have inspired me throughout, you know, my career and my journey. But it was great that I had somebody that was supportive of like whatever it is that I wanted to do. And I think that's very important, especially when you first start out. You know, my mom's a single mom, you know, she works really, really hard. And I think when you have that visually in front of you, that always sets the standard of the tone of what it is that you want to do, regardless of what career I could have gone into. Because my mum is hardworking and she kind of, you know, made a name for herself in her own right as a teacher, I felt like I could do exactly the same thing in my career. And so that's why representation matters. That's why, you know, each of us have it within ourselves to kind of go for those dreams. Because you don't know who else is watching you and is able to kind of be inspired by what you're doing to then feel like they can do the same for themselves in their own way.
Fantastic. And absolutely, you're very lucky that you had that support. But I think whichever way that it sits, whether you had lots of opposition or you didn't, if you know that you're supposed to be doing it, I think that you always kind of find a way. I know I certainly did. We'll come to you, Lina. Tell us about your opposition or your biggest support, and your biggest support.
So growing up, I have a very Middle Eastern father that wanted me to finish college and take the whole, professional route. And I did attempt to do that for him. I really did. But deep down, because I was working at Mac at the same time while going to college, I just never, it never clicked with me. I never felt like that was what I was going to do. I loved expressing myself. I loved being around women. I loved making them feel beautiful. And so I had a lot of opposition in that way, where my dad was like, I don't think you can make a career out of this. This isn't a professional. I need you to finish school. This isn't, you can't do this. And so I felt like I was maybe fueled by that. And I was wanting to prove him wrong. And so I did everything in my power to become the professional that I am today. And of course, now he's so proud of me. He tells me how proud I am, and how I'm a trailblazer, and you did this and you inspire me, and so that's a really beautiful part of it. But I definitely had some opposition in the beginning, maybe more so even myself, because not only was I maybe being doubted by my dad, but even you question yourself too, and you're, can I do this? Is this really for me? Am I supposed to be doing this? Why am I here? All those type of questions. So I feel like the main person in my life that has really been there for me and really lifted me up was my cousin. Actually, Candace is my cousin. And yeah, I know, so funny. And then my sister, I'm so grateful for her. She's been there for me, and she's inspired me so much. So I've been very blessed in that way.
That's fantastic. And what you just said about self-doubt as well, sometimes it's that voice within, but you have no idea, but you're just I'm just going to make this work, because sometimes you love it so much. That's what pulls you through, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And well, I suppose we'll come to you, Candace, then.
So I actually faced a lot of opposition in my life. I actually was put up for adoption when I was born, and I decided to leave home at the young age of 15 and a half. And I think I had every variable against me. I was a 15-year-old with no income, no parental support, nobody to guide me in the right direction. But I always had a deep yearning, and I think that I just knew that I had to be that person for myself. If it wasn't for my cousins and that support that I had and that friendship with them, I probably wouldn't have believed in myself half the amount that I did. But I kind of had to do everything myself. And I think that it's important to share all of our different backgrounds and stories, because I want somebody to know that just because you don't have support, and just because you don't come from the best background, and it will hurt you seeing those relationships with other people, because you'll always have wanted that naturally for yourself, but sometimes you don't have it. And it is just as fulfilling. Your journey is just as fulfilling as somebody who had support. And sometimes it's even a little bit more, because you realize that you can do everything yourself, and you can be that person for yourself. So I just had an extremely deep desire and hunger for my life, and I wanted it to be great, and I was going to set out to make it great. I believe that makeup is power, and at times it gave me power. So when I'm doing makeup, I'm not just slapping on makeup to a person. I'm giving them their wings for the day. I'm giving them that extra boost of confidence to put their best foot forward. And that's what makeup did for me. It gave me a shield. It gave me armor. to leave who I was and leave my story and put my best foot forward, because nobody's seen that when they looked at me. They were like, you're beautiful, those lashes, that lip. And I was exactly who I wanted to be my whole entire life in that moment. So I faced a lot of opposition, but it was definitely worth the ride, because smooth seas don't make a skilled sailor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's made you who you are, and therefore you can also help someone else as well. Because sometimes we go through things for other people. And it's incredible that you can share that today. So anyone that's like, with everything that everyone's sharing at the moment, someone who's sitting in their bedroom and perhaps they're going through the same struggles, and they're like, you know, how do I go into this field? What can I do about it? If you want it, you can make it happen, or allow it to happen, you know. But yes, I'll come to you, Anna.
Well, I found it really interesting when Lina said that her main opposition was herself, because I would say that that would be the case for me as well. I think when you're deciding to quit your job and plunge into the complete unknown in starting a brand, it is an unbelievably terrifying thing to do. And you can think, who on earth am I to do this? You know, I don't have this skill set, all of the skills that are needed to create a successful business. Like, how difficult is that impossible task? I'm also someone who is very much naturally a creative. I'm a bit of a walking dictionary. I can spell, I can write, I can draw, but I cannot do basic multiplication. I do not have a mathematical mind whatsoever. And so I actually co-founded my brand with my brother, who has an economics finance background. And I guess I think I potentially needed him for that kind of confidence, really, to say, yeah, I now put us together and we've got this. And I do believe that to be true, but I wish I didn't initially think that I needed him to take that leap, I suppose. It is something that I would say, speaking of barriers and opposition, that I still kind of almost suffer the consequences of every day, from a female in business perspective. I find it an ongoing frustration. We've just had International Women's Day, and I am 50% of my business. We both operate completely independently as complete equals at the top level, but you would be astonished, or perhaps not astonished, that almost every single day we will get phone calls from people saying, oh, I'd like to speak to whoever's in charge. And then when they're handed the phone and are met with a female voice, they say they'd rather wait for my brother to be available. And that is just soul destroying. And, again, International Women's Day, it's something where I see women supporting women, but I don't see men supporting women nearly as often. And I think that's a real shame. So I think there are still barriers as a female at the top of her business, as I'm sure you guys all face as well. So that's an ongoing thing that I like to focus, now that I have, I guess, a platform and have built an audience into my role. So every single week, I make sure that I speak on solely female-related issues. I mentor girls. I've gone back to schools, primary, secondary education, to give talks on getting women into business, and giving them the confidence that I didn't necessarily think that I had, that I now most definitely do have, in the hope that we can kind of leave some of this gender inequality at long last in the past. So that's definitely a big focus of mine. In terms of support, I'm very fortunate to have the family that I do. As a kind of little example, when you're starting out, you spend a lot of money and you don't necessarily have a lot of money. I definitely didn't, particularly at my age. So rent also in London is absolutely terrifying for even the tiniest of spaces. So my parents allowed my brother and I to come back into our old bedrooms that we'd moved out of, and we operated out of their house 2 years. Even when we were supplying our products throughout Europe and beyond, we had giant trucks delivering pallets onto our front garden. It was really ridiculous, but I honestly don't think that we could have got through those years. It was nearly 3 years before we started even paying ourselves. And I think that that's something that people don't necessarily realize. Going back, talking about Instagram and social media, it's all this beautifully curated feed, but that's not necessarily the reality behind the scenes. So I feel very lucky to have had the support of my family and friends behind the scenes to help me push forward with some of the barriers that we all face every day.
That's amazing. I mean, even through all those obstacles, it almost helped you to be able to discover your confidence even more when you started your self-doubt. So whilst it's a shame that you even had to endure that, at least look at the person that you've become now, so that all those young people that you're helping now, you can share those experiences and they can learn from yours as opposed to making their own, if you will.
Yeah.
Before I move on to you, Eryca, I just wanted to say any questions that anyone has, please put them forward. Don't hold them in, because we want you guys to be able to wake up tomorrow and take action. That's the whole point, to inspire you to take action in what it is that you want to do. But I'll come back to you, Eryca. So share your opposition stories or your biggest support.
Yeah, oppositions and support. 2 and 2, myself didn't believe in myself, didn't think I was capable. Also because I shared with you my journey about my scars on my face.
Yeah.
And then when I did actually branch into the industry itself, because I was a scar face, bald head, dark-skinned black woman, no one actually wanted me to do the work that was needed to be done. However, support and how my career got to where it is today. My father, who told me when I was in the hospital with the scars on my face and I lost all of my hair and nearly my leg, that I was the most beautiful child he'd ever met. That's what my dad told me. 5 brothers, I'm the only girl. So I'm daddy's girl. So he's going to say that anyway, but at the right time. And when I stepped out from my first ever makeup job, which was unpaid, testing as they called it, but it was for a show, I'll never forget. The makeup artist didn't arrive. I turned up with 3 foundations. There were 56 black women. There was no fan. I mean, it was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. I grabbed makeup left, right, and center from everyone. I didn't know what I was doing. I just stepped out of the makeup school. However, apparently I did a brilliant job. Long and short, I did a brilliant job, I was told. But there was one man that was stood in the corner that watched everything that I did, and I will never forget him as long as I live. He's still my friend to this day, and his name is Bruno Tilly, and he was heading up Island Records. And he saw what I was capable to do. I get really emotional when I speak about him. He saw what I was able to do under pressure, feeling really insecure, feeling really ugly, but there were 56 women dependent on me, as well as the show, as well as the crew. And what he did for me is he gave me his card, because remember there was no mobile phones back then. He gave me his card and he said, call me tomorrow. And tomorrow couldn't come fast enough, and I called him. He gave me my contract to travel the world as a makeup artist, because he saw that I was able to work under pressure. And before I knew it, I started doing the makeup for the likes of Whitney Houston. I mean, this is someone I saw on TV that, you know, Eryca and Whitney in the same room, you know, and then I became the personal makeup artist for Seal. Again, that relatability, his face. So when I say you as a person and who you are and how you carry yourself and what you do goes beyond your brushes. It's about personality, it's about your character. So those 2 men really catapulted my career. Little did I know that at the time, but they really did. And all these years later, those 2 men are still in my life. So, yeah.
That's amazing. It's incredible how the people that we can meet just offhand, fleetingly, can completely change the course of your life. Yeah. When I initially started, I paid £25 for Troy Surratt to paint my face in Liberty. I didn't really care about the makeover, but I just wanted to meet him. And literally we spent hours and he just poured so much into me, and he didn't have to do that. And I was shocked, and he looked at me and he said, "You think I'm lying, right?" And I said, "Well, I mean, thank you if you are." And he said, "People buy into who you are before they know what you can do." And it's just stood me in good stead. And what you're saying just echoes that so much. So thank you so much for sharing that, Eryca. Well, I suppose we don't have a lot of time left. However, I just want to try and get in so much information for the people that are watching, should they want it. We're going to give it to them anyway. Networking and assisting. But before we go on to that, actually, what's your creative process? How is it that you're able to develop your style? How have you developed your style over the years as an artist? And I will go to, let's start with you, Eryca.
You caught me off guard there. Well, for me, it's what you see is what you get as an individual. Very natural. I just love my glossy lips. That's just me. However, I don't do makeup artistry anymore, as I said, but I am an educator and I teach people to express themselves. The one good thing that people tend to forget about makeup, it's not permanent. So if you get it wrong, you can wash it off and start again. So I tell people to, whether they do the makeup on themselves or if they're applying it to someone else, speak to that person. Get an understanding of where he or she is coming from. In 5 minutes, you can gather so much information. For me, makeup is about psychology. It is not about the colors. It's not about the application. No disrespect to the industry, but anyone can blend. And if you blend long enough, you can get it right. But it's
so true.
Right? But it's about understanding that person and listening to their backstory and knowing what they've gone through. And you don't have to pull it all. We know that our career, our industry, very touchy-feely. As soon as you touch somebody, it allows them to open up. And before you know it, they pour everything about themselves onto you. But you have to protect you. So you have to create those boundaries and put them in place. But if you speak to someone for 2-3 minutes, you can support them to create that look. So I am all about the business, owning your own brands, owning your own skincare, being at the one in the boardroom, writing out those checks and making a difference, because there is life after makeup. And one thing I will say to all makeup artists, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you need to look after your back, because your back is what supports you now. But if you don't look after your back, in 20 years' time, you're going to have really bad back issues. So think about what else you can do from now. If it's a business that you want to pursue in the industry, start doing the work now. If it's physical products, if it's color cosmetics, start doing the work now. And the same way that you can support somebody else's brand and put money into their business and into their pocket, you can do the same thing for yourself, but start doing the work from now.
Absolutely, because the star is always in the chair, is what I was trained to know. And like you said, for me, this industry, it's not just makeup artistry, it's the opportunity to reframe someone's beauty to them. I don't see what it is that they've done to their face already. It's my privilege to be able to show them how I view them, and that perhaps they can see themselves in another way and then go off and, like you said, conquer the world. But Adeola, I'll come to you next.
My creative process is very much about, finding what the niche is, because I think there's so much competition out there. Everybody is doing very similar things. And I think for me, what made me very different was where a lot of people always wanted to have a very matte, heavy makeup look. I was all about stripping it back, making it very natural, talking about the skincare process. And it's so funny, I put a post up the other day and I said, when people message me and they ask me, what foundation are you using, thinking that was the thing that kind of gave me the glow look, but realizing that I probably had a 10-step skincare routine beforehand to achieve that. And then their face is kind of that they're so confused, because I'm trying to give them a lecture on practicing self-care, looking after yourself from the inside out, what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're nurturing yourself with, what you're filling yourself with, even how you speak to yourself. All of these things have an effect on how you look and how you feel. And so for me, my creative process is very much, even though I'm a makeup artist, that's kind of the last thing that I think about. I'm thinking about all the other things that come before that, before you even get to the destination of applying makeup. And I think that's where people have really resonated with me, because I've taken away the superficial aspect of what makeup is and made people realize that it's a psychology. It's about how you think and how you feel, how you speak to yourself, how you carry yourself. And then obviously the icing on the cake is the makeup that comes on afterwards. And when people realize that, they actually do a lot more digging and kind of that introspective of looking within yourself and thinking, how do I look? How do I feel? And then how can I use makeup as a tool to kind of emphasize that afterwards and enhance it as opposed to kind of using it as a way to mask yourself. Because if you do that, you're still going to have those worries, those, that anxiety, those troubles anyway. It's all about how you can kind of do the work for yourself, within yourself, and then use makeup as a tool, as an extension of who you are.
It's an inside-out job, and I fully concur with that. It's an inside-out job, and if you look after your mind, everything else that you put on will be a bonus, like you said, and it's just that icing on the cake. But we don't want to wear masks anymore. We want to express all the greatness that lies within each of us. So I absolutely agree with you there. And I'll come to you, Lina.
So my style has definitely evolved over the years. I feel like for me, as a woman doing another woman's makeup, my goal for them is to always feel beautiful at whatever they're wearing, but also look good in person and online. Because the work that I do, it's for HD camera or for commercial or for any of those kind of things. So I always want my makeup to look beautiful in person and also translate well in HD. So I always want to make it look glam, but still fresh and still skin-like. So I do have a lot of focus on skin, and that's something that I love to focus on is skin. But my type of makeup artistry has evolved so much because I am constantly learning. I'm constantly trying new products. That's my fun in it. I love to try new products. I love to watch another makeup artist and see what they do. That excites me so much, and see how they do things and kind of incorporate it in my own style, take little things from people and kind of incorporate it in my way. But I feel like, my style is always ever evolving, and I'm very versatile when it comes to makeup style. It just depends on who I'm doing the makeup on and how they want their makeup to be, because every woman is different. Some women love the full glam, and I'm like, really? I would like to be a little bit softer. I think of it, and they're like, no, this is what I want. This is how I want it. So you have to definitely deliver and give them what they want, but also be true to yourself, because you don't want to, overdo something or make it feel like, why did I do that? I don't like the way she looks, or I shouldn't have done that. So it's like a fine line. It's a fine balance of finding what you like to do and making your client happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, they're paying.
Exactly. You got to be happy
with what they want as well. No, and I think, if you can do skin, you can make money. So whoever's starting out or aspiring to be a makeup artist, learn how to do skin first. Look after the skin, like what the other ladies have shared. And I will come to you, Anna.
So I can barely remember the question. Process, right? So one thing I think that I'm really proud of with the kind of background to my brand is that because every single one of our products is made with a byproduct, we can form links between what are seemingly unrelated industries. And I think that that's something truly unique to my brand and something that I'm really proud of. I think that's a lovely bit of provenance with each unique product that we make. Take our face mask, for example. It's made with powdered olive stones that are left over after producing olive oil in the Spanish olive growing regions. How unique, how cool, what a nice kind of bit of background there. And I'll keep this brief, but in terms of the process, I often get asked whether our new product development is product first or ingredient first. And that really depends. We've made a name for ourselves now as, these crazy kids running around London collecting coffee from cafes and restaurants. But we get approached almost daily by different businesses saying, hey, I run a chai company and I brew through beautiful chai spices to make syrups. But the spices still smell amazing. Would you like to take those off me and turn them into something? And I say, yeah, sure. And then we infuse them into our palm oil-free soap bars. But yeah, so the thing that's really important with the process is I call it the win-win-win test. Lots of times people talk about something being win-win. But for me, given the sustainability angle, I added a third one in there. So the first win is it a win for your skin? You're buying a product because you want it to do something for you. You're buying a moisturizer because you want it to moisturize your skin. If it's made with powdered argan shells, but it does a crap job of moisturizing your skin, then that's not good enough. So firstly, is it a win for your skin? Secondly, it has to be a win for Upcircle from a business perspective. Can I get it in reliable quantities? Can I scale this up? I'd hate to put a product out in the world that people love and then have to pull it because I can no longer get that ingredient anymore, or it becomes unsustainable, unsustainably harvested. But the third win is it a win for the supply chain all the way from the start? And I think that sometimes this can be overlooked. So I can provide an example, I guess. So our body cream, for example, is infused with date seed extract. Now, dates are harvested largely for use in things like jams or spreads or pulp, but the seed has absolutely no use for the growers. The seeds that we source are grown in Israel. So if I can come along and say to these guys harvesting dates, I would like to buy the seeds from you, then you are adding an entire new revenue stream for those growers, which is a really lovely added extra piece. And again, something that is unique to my brand. And that is so incredibly important. I don't want to be harming anyone at any point along the supply chain in the products that we are manufacturing, particularly as we scale up our operation and kind of purchase more and more of them. So if you can add an entire new revenue stream for the original person growing the plants that you're using, then that is my third win and a really important one.
That's amazing. It's amazing all the gems that you pick up along the journey. And I think oftentimes, we want to know everything before we proceed, but it's just not possible because through the mistakes, we get to figure out what to do. And then again, it propels us even further. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll come to you lastly, Candice, sorry.
It's okay.
Humbling my words.
My creative process is honestly kind of everywhere. I pull inspiration from everywhere. Like Lina said, I think you evolve as an artist no matter what as time goes on. I think if we all look at our very first picture of makeup, I will literally take it to my grave. Like no one will ever see that photo of my first makeup 14 years ago. It's like
we've all got one.
It's so fun for me to honestly see my growth in the past 3 years. I just remember I was watching a show the other day and I heard that the mom told her daughter, great makeup is where you can't tell where your makeup starts and your face ends. And that gave me inspiration. I was like, dude, that's my mantra for the next 6 months. Like I can totally see where my own makeup starts and ends, but that's not necessarily how I do makeup on others. How I do makeup on myself is completely different. But even a small phrase like that can give me inspiration for the next 6 months of my life. Or I'll go back through my old Kevin Aquan books because he's still one of my all-time. And I'd be like, dude, I want to be Kevin Aquan today. I'm going in and I'm Kevin Aquaning it up. Like I will literally go in there and tell everybody today we're channeling Kevin Aquan. So I need everybody to get on board. And just like Lina said, it depends on what job. Some jobs, they're like, hey, it's the disco campaign. We want glam, glitz, and glamour. And I can have the time of my life doing a dramatic eyeshadow and a glimmering highlight. But I often love really doing muted, the no makeup beauty, because I feel like it's so ethereal and it really speaks to a woman's inner beauty without having to change her face so much to be beautiful. I don't want to always have to contour my nose and morph my face to feel beautiful. And I think that speaks to not teaching people you don't need to change to be beautiful just because society tells you this will make you prettier. No, you're perfect as is. And so I just pull my inspiration from Pinterest, Instagram, singers, music videos, and often it can be a simple phrase on a TV show like it just was. So I also, just like you said, assisting. I love assisting people. I think that one of the things that brings me so much joy is that some of the people that I got an honor to work with, artists, or I got an honor to manage, they tell me that they feel more comfortable around me because I learn from everybody. Like I'll never make you feel like I'm not the master. I'm not Yoda. I could give you a lot of information and I love educating and I'll give you everything that I've learned without any fear of competition because I don't believe in competition, honestly. But I think it's really, really beautiful to sit and assist other people because you learn so much, whether they just started 2 days or whether they've been in the industry for 40 years. I learned just as much from each of them.
We can learn something from everyone, and I fully concur about assisting. Like, especially initially when your style's yet to be developed, assisting so many people, seeing their different styles helps you to be able to arrive at your own. Most makeup artists aren't really taught research methods, and just learning that you can take elements from science or history or art and then combining those, pushing it more for you to be able to arrive at your style. I think it opens up just a whole other level of your artistry that even you weren't fully aware of. And that sometimes is birthed from assisting, I believe. But what you were saying about, you know, that skin that just doesn't look like it's there, I think the Italians, they call it trucco, which means the trick of the eye. If you can see it, then you're doing it wrong, like you said. And wasn't that show, was it Ginny and Georgia or something on Netflix? I watched it too.
Ginny and Georgia, yes. I'm going to change my whole makeup routine after this. I'm going to Sephora, that's it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much, ladies. We've run out of time. I had so many questions. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you did and just for being transparent. And I would say to anyone that's watching, you've got all these incredible artists and, you know, brand owner like Anna and business strategist like Eryca here. And you can tell that we've all pulled our inspiration from different places. But if you want to get in touch, if you think that perhaps I might want to go down this route, get in touch. The whole point of this is to take action. Don't just sit on the knowledge, actually do something with it. Because clearly we've all got what it takes, and so do you. So ladies, do you want to just mention your Instagram handles or how they can contact you just very quickly before we sign off?
I'll go first.
Thanks, Eryca.
No problem. I remember I would never put my hand up first back in the day. At E.A.T.O.W Global, E.A.T.O.W Global, Global. That's the business page.
Thank you. Adeola?
So my Instagram handle is exactly my first and last name, so Adeola Gboyega, so Adeola, and then my surname Gboyega.
Fantastic. And Anna?
So we are at Upcircle Beauty on all of the different platforms. And as you know, it'll be me on the other side of the DM. So if you've got any questions, send them my way. It's always me.
Candice?
Mine is just my name, at Candace Delgado. So at Kandice and Delgado. Super easy.
And Lina, last but not least. Yourself, Lina?
Sorry, wouldn't click.
Okay.
My first and last name, Lina, Lina, and my last name, Mourey. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for joining us. It's been fantastic. And my name's Christiana Amankrah. Thank you so much for being here today. And stay tuned for lots more tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye.